So how's class going? Are you having a good time this week?
Yeah, can't wait for spring break,
Me too.
Yeah,
even
next
though
week
we
is
we were off for
Monday.
spring break, actually.
So do you guys have any good plan for spring break? Any travel plan for next week?
I think might be going to Santa Clara next week. And then, this weekend, I'm going to be doing Anime Night Market in Commerce.
Yeah,
Oh, by the way, I
Santa
don't
Clarita? Is that
think
in
that
the
you're. Uh,
Six
s-
Flag?
no, I think it's like a anime convention,
Is
Commerce,
that the
California.
place you're talking about?
I don't know exactly where it was, but it's like a small anime thing going on there. Your screen's not showing anything, by the way, at least on my end. I'm not
same
seeing
here.
anything.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, neither for me as well.
Yeah, I'm having a terrible issue with my laptop today. For whatever reason, it's getting super, super slow.
There it is. I can see it
Do you
now.
now see anything?
Yes.
We could see your slides now.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So for today's class, we are going to continue on uh, the case study for the fourth case we have this week. It's about the DDoS distributed usually occur in the cyberspace now. So after that case discussion, we will have a lecture, very short lecture on domain 4, and then give you time for the exercises questions, like what we did before. Okay. So I hope that we haven't wasted too much time on the network speed issues. So let's getting started now. If you're ready, then group 4, you can start to present your case.
Yeah, Professor, just let you know, we did have a video for the presentation, but
Okay.
if it's all right, it's gonna be just me presenting. The rest of my group wasn't able to make it today. But they did all participate and they did help make everything. So I just want to clarify that they did do their work and everything.
Okay. Yeah, you can share your screen now.
Uh,
Let me stop sharing on my end.
all right, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Awesome. Okay. Oh, all right. Everything good? I know that you were having trouble, so I just want to make sure that everything's good on my end.
Yes, I can see your screen now.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Marcos, and the rest of my teammates are Stanley, Shamir, Giorgio, and Joanne. Today I'll be presenting on PopVote, assessing the risks of DDoS attacks. Um, Obviously, we're going to go over system failure, recovery, and strategic risk management. So PopVote was developed by the Public Opinion Program at the University of Hong Kong. POP was established in 1991 and served as a research unit that studied public opinion through telephone, online surveys, etc. By 2014, it had about 20 full-time staff and usually managed 8 to 10 projects at the same time. PopVote was introduced in 2012 as an electronic voting platform designed to support large-scale public participation, kind of different from what they were used to. The key person behind this was Jazz Ma, which was Pop's IT manager, who oversaw both system design and later on security improvements. To understand the case, obviously, we need to understand what a DDoS attack is. Distributed denial of service attack is designed to uses botnets to send requests simultaneously. The case explains that these attacks are typically launched through botnets, as mentioned, which sends massive volumes of requests at the same time. The result is delay, service disruption, etc. This exhibit also makes an important point. There is no single, main weapon against the DDoS. Organizations need redundancy, monitoring, log inspection, you name it. As you can see here, this org chart, sorry, shows why POP was vulnerable from a resource standpoint, especially with the employees. POP was primarily a research, institution, not an IT company, and Jazz only had a very small internal IT team. In 2012, he had two full-time subordinates, and even by 2014, the department only had 4 full-time staff. Jazz, a system analyst, a programmer, and a web developer. So one of the structural weaknesses here is that the organization was trying to run, a very important voting platform with very limited, cybersecurity capacity. This exhibit right here gives us kind of a high-level look at the design of the system. The system relied on a client, which connected through HTTPS, a station server, an API server, and a ballot server with, transient or in-memory transient data stored behind these firewalls, as you can see. The system was built to verify users, receive submissions, and protect ballot information. On paper, it looks like the design addressed all the requirements, but the problem is, as we see later on, that being functionally complete is not the same as being resilient when it comes to attacks. So before the attack, POP Vote March 2012 version had been developed in less than 3 months. It was done by Jazz, 2 full-time developers and 1 part-time developer. The design goals were straightforward: maintain availability, prevent any duplicate voting, and obviously verifying the identity of the voter. The system had 4 servers, 2 cloud and 2 physical, if I remember correctly, all located on the at the campus, protecting which was also protected by the firewall, and it also used SSL, virtual keyboard protections, hashing, and encryption. The main vulnerability, however, was the system was built for normal expected usage and basic protection, not for the extreme DDoS attacks. So on March 23, 2012, POP launched its first voting event. This system offered both off-site and on-site voting, and the expectation was that the controls were already in place, would be enough. But the case makes clear that while Jazz expected some form of attack, the actual scale was way more than what he expected. And sorry if you hear my dog, I have a puppy in the other room. The March the architecture of the system in this case for March 2012 was consisted of 4 servers, which was protected by the firewall, SSL, which I mentioned earlier, SMS verification, and the design goal was just to prevent duplicate votes, ensure identity verification, and so on and so forth. So going on to the timeline of the attacks, leading up to the day, obviously 2 staff members had their accounts, their email accounts hacked twice in a row, or I should say in succession. After the passwords were changed, one account was accessed from an unknown IP. So this suggests that the goals of these attackers were, to steal the design, plant malware, or gather infrastructure details. So voting was split into 2 channels. As mentioned, we had offsite voting, and then also we had offsite and onsite. So voters would enter their ID number and mobile number, send a blank SMS for verification, and then if it was obviously successful, they can proceed to vote. So in the early morning, when the official voting did begin, the first DDoS attack hit and paralyzed the system for about 15 minutes. The temporary outage showed that the system was already under active attack early in the day, and even though it recovered for a time, that this was an early sign that the attackers were probing the system. So this is one of the most important things we noticed, that the external DDoS attacks was only part of the problem. Obviously, the system's SMS verification process created overload as legitimate users retried, failed, or delayed verification attempts. According to this, and obviously Exhibit 4, automatic timeout and repeated login attempts, just multiplied the traffic and created situations where the system was in effect kind of self-inflicting itself. So the system, failure came from an interaction between, obviously the attack, but also the poorly designed verification system. So at around 7 a.m., the voting website came to a complete halt. Users could no longer log in or complete the verification. Firewall limits tightened, relevant data removed, code checked, and then obviously POP rents 4 more cloud servers. At around at around 8, between obviously 7 and 11, the on-site polling stations also began experiencing connection problems. Staff either couldn't connect or they were just disconnected here and there. They weren't really sure whether the cause was attack, was it something with the firewall settings, user error, or so on and so forth. So they restricted access to selected fixed lines and approved IP addresses. And then, this kind of eased around towards the end of this time window of 11 a.m. But then at that point, most of the polling stations decided to close. So then at noon, they decided, they held a conference, announced a failure, and switched to just strictly paper ballot voting for the afternoon. And then under the paper, setup, voters marked their choice and then wrote their ID number, sealed the ballots, and then turned it in after, verifying their identity. Later on, they announced that the voting would be extended by 1 day. This matters because operational continuity ultimately depended on manual fallback, not the system itself. And then later on, outside, they reached out to outside IT security experts, and then after four or so hours of work, they stabilized the system. And since the scheduled e-voting period had already ended, many intended offsite voters had already lost the chance to participate. So you can see this is kind of the full timeline summary. The voting opens, the first attack, the system collapsed, polling station outages, and so on and so forth. So the key lesson we know is that it wasn't just a story of just the attackers, but it was also just design assumptions breaking down under actual, operating conditions. They had some security controls, but it wasn't enough to tolerate. So, they underestimated the attack scale, the self-inflicted overload, limited resilience filtering. I think moving forward, they need to start evaluating risks on a worst case scenario rather than, an expected usage. So before the rerun in 2014 when they tried it again, it's important to understand why it mattered so much leading up to it. At this point, it's a different level of risk. It's high profile, it's essentially politically sensitive. They expected surge, in participation and visibility. And obviously now it's a strong likelihood of coordinated attacks. So obviously there was also some pressure points. Reliance on cloud providers could fail. SMS verification still creates bottlenecks. And then obviously you have to have some sort of trade-off between security, scalability, and accessibility. So what changed? Going into 2014, POP made several major improvements. It established an advisory group with I'm sorry. With advisory support, the system was rewritten. It was moved to AWS to improve traffic handling and benefit from, the integrated firewall. They also integrated security providers monitoring and real-time blocking tools, and it built a real-time monitoring platform so staff could also see any abnormal traffic and respond immediately. Finally, the architecture is redesigned into subsystems, including verification, API requests, etc. So for offsite voting, they, after all these changes, they still kept SMS verification. They did consider other options, but electronic certificates were not widely adopted. And there was also some mobile compatibility issues. Pre-registration was required too much resource, and uploading copies of the IDs also raised concerns. So POP kept SMS because the ID alone could not reliably verify identity. This is probably the most practical compromise given even though it did create usability and scalability issues as previously mentioned. So this New Year vote performed much better than obviously the 2012 event. It ran smoothly overall and handled approximately 62,000 votes, with over 40,000 votes coming in through the mobile app and 19,000 through the website. Although they did still have some problems. They also showed some weaknesses did remain with the SMS delays, the 3-minute timeout problem, and overseas voters were essentially locked out. So looking ahead, this is what Pop was still working on before the June 2014 vote. Negotiate with the SMS providers for faster, more scalable messaging services, allow more people in the system at once by increasing voting quotas, extend the 3-minute timeout window so fewer voters get knocked out of the queue, add a reminder notification to automatically direct voters to the voting screen after SMS, and take into consideration if they should build a separate server for foreign voters. So to conclude, key takeaways that Pablo did improve after 2012, but risks still remain. System must be able to handle extreme, unpredictable attacks. Failure impacts, public trust and legitimacy. As you can see, after how much more important the 2014 vote was. I think moving forward, they need to scale infrastructure to handle extreme traffic and DDoS attacks. Reduce reliance on SMS verification, or as mentioned, improve its capacity, and also develop, contingency plans in case, cloud providers don't offer support. And to the class, I offer these questions for discussion. How should POP ensure the system remains reliable and trusted under extreme pressure? Is SMS verification still the right choice? And should POP rely on cloud voters if they can withdraw support under pressure? Thank you.
Well, obviously, you have some question for the class. I will let the class answer your question first.
Well, I mean, to answer question number 2, I feel like it's not the right choice, only because there's still a lot of people that are like unaware of like SIM spoofing, and
Yeah.
not everyone might have that protection enabled through their provider, or may not even know that it's possible to lock their SIM down.
For me, I think it's also outside of the things I mentioned about SMS verification, I think it's also just convenience. I think a lot of people are just also used to it, having that they always have their phone on them, so whenever they verify, they usually have an app, or in this case, SMS verification.
But if they want to increase the voters number, then SMS is very convenient for them to do.
Yeah.
So any other inputs? Well, it doesn't seem like your question gathered responses from the class.
I think for the last one, I think they could rely on like cloud providers, but like plural, not just like one provider like AWS or like Azure. They
Right.
should actually like rely on more than one cloud provider. And even then, like, having their own in-house stuff could also lead to some downtime too during certain situations. So I think having like more than one option for
Just sorry to interrupt, do you mean more so as have one backup, or just using multiple at one time, or like actively?
I think maybe at the same time, kind of like a hot
Right.
spare, like,
Yeah.
just in case like AWS just goes down, like it has been in the past couple of months. Like the ability to just hot swap to Azure, or like, swap to like a local account just for a more centralized something that you control, like your own servers kind of stuff, like your own infrastructure,
Yeah.
might be like best for them just in case like, they need to like fire up multiple stuff for voting.
I like that. Thank you.
So when they have the cloud providers, um, does the cloud provider help them to mitigate the risk? With that, do they have to do all the risk management on their own?
I think they definitely help address risks, especially around like, scalability and especially like traffic concerns, you know what I mean? Because I think that's what happens when they moved up to AWS. They were able to help, address the concerns specifically with just traffic. But
Mm.
obviously I think when it does get to a certain point, that
Mm.
I think that goes with what Josh is saying that, even if you do move to, one provider, you it would be nice to have, or ideal to have, a hot spare.
So back to the earlier of the case, what do you think uh, are the factors that make the organizer very vulnerable? Where do their vulnerability comes from?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? You kind of cut out there.
So where do you think the vulnerability of this organizer comes from?
I think also just, you know, inside the company, I think it's just the lack of resources. They're very limited, and I think also this program was built very quickly. I think it also comes up to just resources and just time taken to actually can make the system. So I think also outside of the attacks and traffic, I think just resources.
When you talk about resources, what kind of resource are you referring to?
I think we'll just labor or just like expertise, you know, and I think if you go back to, can I go back on this? I think I speak mainly just from, you know, this was the entire, system, the resources
Okay.
going into this. So I think, if the operational issues, starting from the ground up, making this program pop vote and then taking care of it. It's just they didn't really have like a dedicated IT department.
Well, that can be considered as the people resources, human resources. But is that the only resources that they're missing? Do they have other resources missing as well?
I think just, I guess hardware originally, because I mean they were relying on their, HKU's, infrastructure. So it wasn't built to handle that.
Okay, so they are missing both people and also the hardware. What about software and database? Do they have anything missing there?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think for sure. I mean, they definitely could have, as mentioned earlier, they didn't put much time into developing this. So I know that it got, rewritten, but maybe it can just be addressed so it can be improved and handle more traffic and while taking into consideration, any
Mhm.
potential attacks.
How about their procedure design? Do you think their procedure design also causing some of the risk?
I'm sorry, what was that?
How about their procedure, voting procedure design? Does that contribute to the
I
risk?
to be honest, I think that I think the system itself of, of voting wasn't really that bad in my opinion, as far as like, when it was, the offsite and onbite, the system they had, whether it was through the app or the website, I thought it was pretty standard from from my, general
Mhm.
understanding of how polls would work. So I think that was probably the best design that they had, was just the actual, voting.
So they have the both on-site voting and off-site votings.
Yeah.
For both of them, the procedure are different. And for the offset votings, you will have to use some kind of SMS verifications, which you did ask that question, should it be a right choices? But then if you don't use MS verification, how do you make sure people vote offset?
I mean, we could just, verify, to have some like a qualified individual verify, IDs and make sure it matches up with with the person handing it. But that would also add more labor time for the staff members.
But then that basically turned the offset voting into an on-site voting. If you have
Oh,
people
I'm
to
sorry. I thought you were talking about on-site. I'm sorry.
no. Yeah, I'm talking about offset voting.
To be honest, I don't really know what other option, you know, I think as SMS is it's convenient, and I think, that, I mean, they could use, some different type of, and like app that, verifies that if it's with like the existing system, like assuming I go into
Mhm.
like how Hong Kong or how HKU works there, how similar to us, we have, Duo. It's not necessarily an SMS, it's kind of like a push notification. So, but I think that also would probably run into problems just with traffic and everything.
I guess that really relies upon like, how much work you want to put in your two-factor verification. Like not
Yeah.
everyone has like a two-factor key or wants to use like Authy or Duo at the same time. So kind of have to wait it out by like how easy it would be for people to vote versus like, you know, making them more or less likely to vote too by, adding increased hurdles like this. You could like, have ID verification, but then that's like another hurdle that people want to,
I think
might
it's like
have
a
to go through.
privacy concern too,
Yeah.
so I get what you're saying.
Right, but it also makes things worse when they have very limited resources, especially hardware, software doesn't support.
Yeah.
Remember, they only have 4 servers, right?
Yeah.
And then the server with the limited number of servers, and all this multi-factor verification will take time and running out of the resources from the server. And then for the on-site voting, it's even more problem because they have to have all the voting system connect to one main servers for online votings. And then if you have too many people using that server at the same time, obviously it's a denial of services.
Right.
And then even without the attack, they are already in the limit of their server capacities. With that attack, it's getting even worse. So that obviously create a risk points for the attacker to take advantage of. And then based on those risks that we have just talking about so far, what are the risk management strategy you recommend them to do? Obviously, they did something on their own, but if you summarize them, what are the different strategies they applied for risk management?
Um, well, I think just, obviously scale it to handle, extreme traffic. I think, they're designing this system to handle what they expect. I think they need to, you know, take into consideration worst case scenario.
Okay, So let's think about this in more general in out of this case, right? The case itself has very specific thing, but in general, uh when you identify those vulnerability in your own system, how do you manage those risks? Do you always think about the worst case then dealing with them? And how do you deal with the worst case?
Well, to be honest, I'm not really too sure. I mean, I think
So we spend a bit of time to identify those vulnerabilities, right?
yeah,
Those are the source for the risk that the business can have. And as you see that there's a big risk coming from people, there's risk come from hardware, software database, there's risk coming from the procedure design. Also, you can also call business process design, right? So for each of those risks, what are the risk management strategy we should take? Uh, are we going to managing them in the same way, or how do we decide what strategy to use for what risk?
well, I know that early on in the class, we talked about, identifying, dollar value of each one. So maybe
Mhm.
we could do something like that.
Right. So yeah, that's good points. I think that we can do a business impact analysis.
Right.
We can find out the probability of each risk and also the impact of each risk. Then we can calculate their business impact, right?
Yeah.
And based on the business impact, we can sort them and prioritize them,
Which one's
right?
more,
Right.
which one's more,
So
I guess, important, or which one?
yes. So that's very good points, right? So suppose you have already sorted out the risk in different order, different categories. What are your strategy for each different categories? Do you have a different strategy for different categories? How are you going to treating them the same way?
Probably. I don't think it'd be the same, but I think we'd have to dive in more to see how, we could address each one individually.
So in general, what are the different way to address those risks? Like if your boss, your manager asking you that, what do we do with the risk? What is your recommendation?
If the risk has already been addressed, what do I recommend?
Yes, if you have already identified those risks, then what are your recommendation for your manager to address them?
Well, I think if we kind of, labeled them, I guess, ordered them from, obviously high probability to lowest probability, I think we'd tackle it in that order. And I think, where resources can be allocated, go from there to tackle ones that are more important, that are gonna do more damage.
Okay. So does the class has any input here?
Right. Like, how big of a risk are we talking about? Is it something that we could just like pay the penalty for? Is that like something like if the risk is like worth $1 million, but um, sorry, say for instance, like we have a issue where the voting fails and we have to pay like a penalty. Would it have been cheaper to, prevent that thing from occurring, or would it be just cheaper to accept like the penalty of like $1 million for
Just
it?
letting it happen.
Yeah,
Mm.
just
Mhm.
accepting it. Risk acceptance,
Yeah, that's very good points, right? So in general, there are several different category of strategies that you can dealing with the risk. So one way, as you mentioned, will be accept the risk, right? If the risk is a small or low chance, you probably just accept it, let it go, right? A second strategy would be to mitigate the risk. So we figure out a way to reduce the risk and even to fight against the risk, right? And then in addition to that, there's also what we call risk avoidance. So if we don't get into the situation, then we don't have to have that risk. So in this case, like here, if you don't take voting, then you don't have all the risk, right? So that will be risk avoidance. That is
Or
a third
we could
strategy.
also just limit the amount of votes.
Yeah, that's another way, yes. And then in addition to the three categories, the last category of strategy is what we call risk transfer, right? We can transfer the risk off. See, we can buy insurance, let the insurance cover the cost, right? So that's kind of risk transfer. So in general, for our risk, we said that you should have a framework to set up your strategies, which include risk transfer, risk avoidance, risk mitigation, and risk what do you call it? What I mentioned there earlier, risk acceptance, right? So you have four types of strategy you can develop to address those strategies, you address those risks. But of course, here you have to think about the risk, those each of the risk. So identify their probabilities and business impact. And based on that, you can prioritize that and decide for different
Which type
yeah,
of risk,
yeah,
version or risk transfer to use, whichever one of those methodologies.
yes,
Gotcha.
yes. So looking back at this case, can you give me like one example? What are the risk? What are the strategies they deal with using that framework? So you can think of one of the risks that we talked about in this case.
Sorry, I was muted. I was talking. I was
Okay.
saying that as I mentioned, I think just cap the amount of people that can vote. And I think also just, I guess, going a little bit deeper is just maybe limiting a vote per, IP or something, just to, limit the amount of traffic and to make sure that their system can handle everything.
Okay, so the risk here is that too many people vote will crash down your
The system. Yeah.
right? And then your strategy is to limit that. Which category you think this strategy will
I think risk
fall in?
aversion.
Risk what?
Risk aversion, right? We're avoiding maximizing
Oh,
them.
okay. Oh, you risk avoidance, right? So you basically avoid that risk by not doing it.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Well, that could count, yeah. So I think that what I really want you to get out of this case is that truly understand that how do we identify the risk, right? Where the vulnerability typically comes from. It can come from people, can come from the hardware software database, can also come from the business process in general. So for each different aspect, what are the risks? You can look into that. Then once you identify those risks, then think about what your strategy is for each kind of risk. And you can looking for those strategy based on the general framework we talk about. And then under that framework, you think about specific actions that you can take. So looking back at this case here, you can also see what the Popeye did in response to those risks, right? They come up with different strategy, make it better in 2014 than 2012. So think about their strategy, see which category they fit in. And
Okay.
then you can think about, you can also find out whether they have done everything they can, whether they missed something they should do while they haven't done it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So that is kind of mental side when you write your answers to the case report. So some of those questions in there is trying to around the risk of management framework we talked about that. So apply that framework will help you to address those questions better in the report.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we just finished the case. I do want to mention one thing before we take a break is that on the student-generated questions, I graded the past 3 already. I note that many of you have the question but did not provide either the answers or the explanations. So I would expect you to provide, first of all, after the discussion we had on those questions, you provide correct answers to the questions, and also give a very brief explanation regarding why the answer is correct, why the other one is wrong. Because when we have the question and answer shared with the peer student in the class, and they may not understand the question better than you do. And if you provide answers and explanation, that will help them to learn, right? I did reduce some points for students missing the answers or the explanations. If you want to add your answers and explanation back, and you can still do that, and I will credit you back after you did that, right? But for the next discussions, I do expect you to provide answer and the explanations. And then if I saw you miss that, I will again reduce your credit, but I will not credit you back if you even if you redo that for the next 3 sets of student-generated questions, right? For
How do we
the
want to do it for that? Like, do we like comment on our own post or like just have it like underneath it so that it's like hidden?
No, I want the other student be able to see that. If you comment on your post, I don't know whether you can see the other student. Maybe they can see that. If they can, that's no problem for me.
So
Yeah,
we just have everything on there like with the answers and stuff. So, but it kind of alters the way we do the review in class. I don't know how
no,
we're
not
going to be doing that.
not doing. You do not give answers and explanation before we discuss it.
Oh, we have to do it after the discussion. Okay.
Yes, you do that
Ca-
after discussions.
Okay. With that, can you like extend like the time frame for that if that's possible? Like,
For the past 3 student-generated questions, yes, I can do that, and I still can give you credit back if you make it up. Yeah, but for
okay.
the future 3 discussion questions, I won't. You have to do that and exactly follow the rules.
Okay. Got it.
And did you already retroactively apply the deduction to the score?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you.
Actually I left them comments for each students. You
I
should
did
be
see the
able to-
comment.
Yeah, you
I
should.
just Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Professor, did you want us to like send you a message to let you know that we took care of that?
No, you don't need to. I will just using Spring Break to regrade all everything in the past 3 rounds.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay, so if you're good, then let's take a 10 minutes break and come back. Thank you.
Catch you in 10 minutes.
Hello, can we come back?
Good to go, Professor.
Yeah, ready to go.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so let's get started. I want to spend a little bit time to talk about domain 5. This is a domain that is actually it's takes quite a bit of weight in the CISSP exams. It's about 13% of the exams. So it's not small. It's not small. It's not lightweight, right? But the domain itself also leveraging some of the other domains knowledge as well. Like in the domain 1 and domain 3, we talk about either physical access or we talk about the logical access issues. So those are the domain relevant to domain 5 as well. And the domain itself is important because identity and access management is one of the central issue in the in protecting security for the systems. That takes quite a bit of work in the security department today for many business. Okay, so this domain here focus on how we identify our assets, the platforms we use for them, and how we provide authorized access and prevent unauthorized access to the assets, and how do we managing the identity over the life cycle, okay, all over the life cycles, right? So there are many issues in this chapter related to physical and logical access control, okay, and how we identify and authenticate users, and how we setting up access control and so on. Okay, so quite a bit stuff, not that technical, but it's quite important to the overall security management and also for the CISP exams. Okay, as you know that access control is taking a kind of central role in the security policies today, right? We have different policy procedure standard governing how the access can be managed. Okay, that basically means how you grant access to whom and to what. Okay, there are many different principles governing this management, such as list of privileges needed to know. Okay, and those are the principles we commonly talk about, right? You only want to give the least privileges, no more than they need to the people. Okay, and you only want to give them access to information they need to, must know, but no more than that, but no less than that either. Okay, so those are the issues that is related to access management. Okay, in the domain, if you remember in the domain 3, we talk about the physical security, right? Like how we use fence, locks, and turnstiles, bollards, and so on. So that's about the physical security. It's also about the physical access. On the logical side, we do apply different access security models, as you remember in the domain 1, right? And in the domain, I think that's domain 4 as well, right? In different security models. And then in this domain here, the key model that we talk about is the IAAA models. So here you need to remember that I is identification. This is talking about who you are. How do we know who you are, right? then this including your name, your user ID, your employee number, your social security number, and so on. Okay, those identification that can provide the proof of you. Okay. Authentication is to prove the identities. That's different from identification itself. And authentication means that you have to prove what you claim you are, okay? Who you claim you are, okay? Authentication should always be done with the multi-factor authentications, okay? And this is related to one thing we will talk about soon, that there are many different factors that can help you to authenticate a person, okay? Identities, okay? Those are something you know, okay? And this is also type 1 authentications, and something you have. That's type 2 authentications. Something you are, type 3, and type 4 is something you are, somewhere you are. And for example, your IP address, your MAC address, somewhere you are. That's what it means. And then type 5 authentication is something you do. Okay. For example, your signatures, okay, your pattern unlock, okay. And those tells what your behavior pattern is. Okay. Then the third the third factor in the IAAA is talking about authorizations. Okay, means that what you can access, what you are allowed to access, what you're not allowed to access, and so on. The last one, last A is accountabilities. Okay, and this is the responsibility that you are responsible for when you're taking any actions. So that means we need to track actions of someone did and be able to make sure they're accountable for the action they have. Okay. And that's also part of the reason we never use group login, group account, because there's no accountability if multiple persons are able to have the same access. Then we cannot tell who has accountability for the actions, right? Then for the type 1 authentication, which is something you know, one of the most important something you know is the password and phrase, like your PIN and so on. Okay, those something you know. That represent the knowledge you have regarding something, right? That's why they are also called knowledge factors. Okay, and you are required to prove you have knowledge of a secret in order to authenticate. Okay, so something you know must be a secret, not public. If that's public information you and other people all know, that doesn't help you. You cannot use that as a password, right? Has to be a secret. And there are many different variations of the password. Some are much longer with multiple words. That's the passphrase. There's also shortened version of those password, which can be pure numerical numbers, like the PIN you used for your ATM machine, right? In general, you should always using the passphrase, longer versions if you can. Password in general is the weakest authentication factors. Using a strong policy will help you to increase the securities that you have. Okay. When we come up with the password, you will always want to avoid those common word personal informations, those questions that easily to be compromised. Okay. For example, if you're saying that using secure questions such as where are you born? Okay. Even though these challenging questions, actually many of the websites today like to use those challenging questions. But it's very easy to be guessed. Okay, I can find out where you are born from your social medias, from many other ways, right? That can be that kind of information is known to many peoples, so that they cannot really be considered as a secret. If you remember that back to 2008, there's a presidential candidate, Sarah Palin, right? Her email was hacked simply because she used very basic information like her high school and her birthday as a part of the password for her email. And then the hackers could easily find out those information online, then reset her password. And that make really bad for her campaign. You know. Password, one more word here, should also have some kind of expiration date. You do not want to use a password forever. Like your password, if more than 1 year, it should be updated, right? Personal emails. For many business, this kind of time period is even shorter. But that comes with cost. If you change password too often, people have a hard time to memorize that. Okay. And then you may also want to use a mix of different numbers, word, and different symbols for your password. Some of the password has to be thought of, like if you simply use winter 2017, and that does match with the uppercase numbers and also letters, but it's very easy to be guessed password. So if you're using those type of password, it's not as secure as you think they are. Okay. There are many different ways to crack a password. Brute force is probably one of the most common method to crack a password. Okay, by simply guessing the password. And technically, if you have the entire key space, okay, you should have every possible key in that space. Then giving enough time, then brute force attack can crack any password. Okay, so in fact, brute force can be effective against all keys based on whatever cipher you have, except the one-time pad. Okay, except one-time pad. But brute force does take a long time. It generates lots of false positive. You do have to have very huge computing resources in order to do that. Dictionary attack is another type of password attack. In this type of attack, then the attackers will have a pre-arranged listings, okay, also called dictionary word. So they come up with a dictionary, simply compare the password with that dictionary. That can help them to speed up their search for a password. Okay, and then rainbow tables is another type of way to crack a password. In a rainbow table, it has a pre-matched listings, similar to the dictionary words, but they're matching the hash word, okay, several hash with the key, okay, create a pair of them, and then using those pair, many different pairs together as a list, so that once you have the hash, you can looking for the key within the rainbow tables. Okay. So that is also one way to quickly searching for a key. key logging is another way to attack password. So if we can log every move of keyboard, then we will be able to track down what key that user is using, right? But that require you use certain kind of either hardware or software way to do that. Okay. And for example, you can attach a USB port, and then if the keyboard is plugged in with that port, then you can easily pick up the key that user tapped on their keyboard. Okay. There are also many software like a keylogger, a backdoor. Those are the payload that you can upload it to a computer to track key movements. So the defense for a password are the sorting, key stretching, account logout, and secure storage. Sorting is very easy to understand, right? Sorting is to adding a random number to as additional input into like a one-way function that hash your password. Okay, so when I create a hash, I can always add a random number to the key, okay, that make the hash be different. Okay, so that make the password cracking very difficult to and this is a very useful way to defend dictionary attack or rainbow table attack. Okay. And key stretching. Key stretching is to adding time to your key, okay, processings. So even a single 1 or 2 seconds for the key, for each letter of the key to be processed, that will make the brute force attack very difficult because they have to try billions of keys in the key space. So if one key at like 30 seconds, that will extremely increase the total time that the attacker has to spend in order to crack the key. Okay. Account logout is another way to protect the key. Typically, when you have a number of try on the false positive on the key, then the count can be locked. That will effectively prevent all the rainbow attack, dictionary attack, and also the brute force attack. Okay. Security storage is another way that we create a security space that you can have all the key be stored. Okay. You can also use things like a single-use password. Okay. I did not mention that in my slide, but you should know that like the single-use password is almost like one-time pass, right? You have one password used only once, that becomes the single-use password. Okay. And then for the something you have, the type 2 authentications. Typically, this require you to have something like ID card, your password, your smart card, your cookie on the PC, and those are called the possession factors compared to knowledge factors like password, okay, like the passphrase. Those are knowledge factors. And those something you have are the possession factors. You have to own that stuff. And that's the something you have. Okay. And a simple form of something you have is credit cards, right? When you have the credit card and you know the PIN of your credit card, that actually make a multi-factor authentications. Okay. And then the single-use password we talked about earlier, right? Even though it's a password, but it's more similar to one-time pad because the password can only be used once. Okay. And that make it different from the password that considered as knowledge factor because even if you know the single time use password, it can only be used once. So it doesn't matter whether you use it or not, right? So in this case, single use password can be considered as something you have instead of something you know. Okay. That's a tricky part. If you are seeing a question asking you like single use password, would that be considered as type 1 or type 2 authentication? You should know that this is a type 2 authentication, not type 1, not type 1 authentications, right? And then the many of the tokens, smart cards, RFIDs are the something you have. Okay, so here smart card tokens, you probably know that there's different type of smart card, right? Either you can have contact smart card, you can have a contactless smart card, right? Like contact card is a smart card. It's uh like the what is it? You have to use like the computer circuit, okay, using a integrated circuit chip. So that chip has to be contact in order to work. Okay. Some credit cards you have to insert into the machine in order to use the chip. That's contact card. And there's also contactless card, right? Many of the credit card today also allow you to use contactless card, especially if you have the card imported into your smartphone, you don't have to contact the machine in order to process. RFID, which is radio frequencies identification tag, are very popular in the business today. You can add a tag to your package, then the tag can be detected by scanner without contact. Okay, that's the RFID usually used in the supply chain management. There are many other card, such as the magnetic stripe card, right? And in the past, we have those kind of card. There's also different kind of tokens, we have the HOTP and TOTP tokens. HOTP is is one type of, it's called HMAC based one-time password. And then TOTP is time-based one-time password. Okay. So they are both one-time password, but they are controlled by different mechanism. Okay. The HOTP typically will have the shared secret and incremental counter. Okay, the counter will increase, okay, every time you use it. So the counter number and your secret key will be combined together to form a one-time password. Okay. The time-based one-time password, however, is using the current time combined with your shared secret key together to generate the one-time password. And the difference is that obviously the TOTP is more secure, okay, because it always depends on time. But the TOTP require both sides have the time devices, so that they can have the synchronized time. Otherwise, you can lose the effectiveness of your one-time password. If both sides either have different time or the one side has no time devices. And there's some also development regarding the something you have. I remember several years ago, a company required their employee to put a chip inside their body, under their skin, right? So using that chip, then employee will be able to kind of like a single sign on. Okay, they can log into everything the within the business domain for the companies. So in that way, this kind of chip is similar to the RFID devices, but put into human bodies. Whether
I
it's
have one of those chips, Professor.
oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, you
Not
plug?
because of the company, but I had a personal one installed.
Oh, you do? You do under
Yep.
your skin or your hand?
Yeah, it's on my right hand. It was a gnarly procedure. I could send you the video if you want to see it, but yeah, I had it done.
So that's okay. That's personal thing. That's not business requirements.
No, it's not.
Okay. So does it really help? What can you do with that?
I have it set to be my business card.
Oh, okay. So you basically, when you make payments, you can use that.
No, it's just like if people want to follow me or anything like that, they could scan my hand with their phone, and then they could find like my contact information, like where to
Oh,
reach me, email, all that stuff by just
okay.
scanning my hand. I guess a business requirement, but it is my own business, if that makes any sense.
Okay, so you cannot be kidnapped.
Good proof of if anything happens to me, it's proof that that body is mine, probably.
Okay. Okay, that sounds like interesting. Uh, so better not let your wife knows where you are all the time.
I mean, that's why I have the iPhone Find My for.
Okay,
So we have that.
that's interesting. I was surprised to know that we do have one person in our class who have that. Great shine. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, as I mentioned that it could be privacy concerns, right? If you have that information on your phone, obviously, uh, only people who can access your phone knows where you are. But at the same time, it depends on which phone you're using. The vendors of the cell phone services provider will also know where you are, right? Okay. So let's move on to the third, the type 3 authentication. Okay. And this is a type of authentication to prove something you are. Okay. Something you are. Okay. And then there's fingerprints, iris, face, behavior patterns that shows something you are, right? Those are not always good thing to use. Okay, like typically depends on which one you use. Like you're using Iris and you're using the retainer of your eyes, it could bring some kind of damage to your eye if you keep using that every time, very frequently, right? And fingerprint is we call that physical characteristics, right? But it's not always working because there's some people who has their either very vague fingerprint or has no fingerprint. And for example, and one of my people I know, she was born without fingerprint, and that created a difficulty for her to going to take airplanes. Because every time when she trying to use her fingerprint, in the airport, there's no way she can get on the plane. And even face is an issue because people's face change over time. I know that Apple using Face ID, they trying to scan face. Many of their apps similar follow that similar pattern. They scan your face trying to add. But there are many people who are either face change due to their illness, due to their some other issues. Once those face changes, they cannot use that and authenticate anymore. Okay. There are also other physical characteristics used beyond those biometrics, such as your palm veins, your DNAs, your hand geometries, and even others, right? Like a dog always can recognize human beings differ who you are by smell your odors, right? Human beings cannot do that, but animal can do that. Behavior patterns, characteristics such as the typing rhythms, how you work, how you sound, and how your voice sound like. I know some bank like Wells Fargo, like Fidelity's, they're using voice recognition. So if you speak to their phone calls, and then they can recognize you without asking you provide password. But you get to remember that those biometrics, it's not very safe. Okay, even if they sound like unique. Okay, for everybody, the biometrics is unique to you, but they are not safe, and they can be easily copied. Okay, for example, your fingerprint, your handprint. So everywhere you go, you left your fingerprint, then they can be copied and reused. Even your face, your iris, so those are able, especially in today's AI environment, they can be remake and they can be reused to pass this security detect. So biometrics, even they are unique to individuals, but they are not very safe. Very safe, okay? And if you lost your password, you can still replace that. But if your biometrics is very hard to replace, so it stay with you unless you purposely remove that or modify that. Okay. And there's also privacy concern regarding those biometrics because and those biometrics can usually tell more than who you are. And for example, your handling patterns could reveal whether you are vascular diseases persons, whether you have other diseases as well. Your iris patterns may reveal your genetic sex, and your retainers can show whether you are pregnant or you are diabetic. Okay, so they tell more information than they should, which increase the privacy concerns. Here, I think that's going before. I think before that, I also want to talk about authorization before we talk about access control here. Authorization. Looks like I jumped a little bit here. Okay, so I do not have slides there, but the access control models here are related to what we call authorizations. Okay. Authorization is the third letter in the IAAA models, right? So in addition to identification, authentication, we are also care about authorizations, okay? So here you do have the different access control models. like a DAC, that's a discretionary access control. MAC is mandatory access control. RBAC, that's role-based access control, and also the ABAC, that's attribute-based access control, right? So this different kind of access control is one of the very frequently tested questions in the CISSP. Almost every year, they will have one question related to this, okay? It can be, they use abbreviations instead of the full name. So you have to know what each of the abbreviation means, okay? And then you need to know how to use each of those access control model in different business scenarios, okay? So in general, discretion access control typically used when availability is most important, okay? So like you want to give the discretionary access control list based on the user identities, based on user identity. So if the user has such identities, they will be able to have access. Okay. So basically access to the object is assigned at discretion of the object owners. Okay. The mandatory access control usually is used when the confidentiality is most important. So that's different from DAC, okay? In the MAC, okay, the access to an object is determined by labels and clearance, okay? And usually in the military, for example, okay, when confidentiality is very important. So whether you are able to access some information is determines your clearance. Then the higher clearance, the more depth the background check has to have. So only when you reach to certain kind of clearance with the label assigned to you, you're able to access some information. Otherwise, you cannot. Okay. And role-based access control often used when integrity is most important. So remember the difference. It's very likely you may be asking a question that which one is more important when the confidentiality is important? Which one is more important when integrity is important? So remember that role-based access control is used when integrity is most important. Okay. That is based on the role assigned. Okay. And we use role-based access control when we have to managing a large group of users who have similar needs, right? So if you assign a large group of users with the same role as the same kind of access, it's very easy to expand the number of users. So make the management of many users access much easier. Okay. It's also the most common used form of access control. I'm sure in each of your company, you probably following the role-based access control some way in your business. The attribute-based access control is a granting access based on the subject, objects, or the environment conditions. So if those conditions met, then you have the access. And those conditions can be, for example, name, role, ID, if you're talking about the subject or the user, right? So if you're talking about the objects like the resources, then you're talking about the object name, owners, date of creation, things like that. For environment, you can talk about location, time of access, and threat levels, different things. So once you have those attributes, then you get access. Okay. Regarding the access control, there's also a concept called federated identity and SSO. Okay. Federated identity is to link a person's electronic identity and attribute across multiple distinct identity management system. Okay. And this becomes very important because many business has multiple systems, multiple business domains. Then if we have users to log in each system in with a different sign-in identities, it becomes very difficult to managing. So federated identity is one way to managing all the different domains identities for the users. And then the SSO is single sign-on, right? And that's it's a subset of the federated identity management. Okay. And they allow you to use a single password and the username or identities to log on all the different business domains. Okay. And then there's many different techniques you can use, like SEML. This is just a security assertion markup language. Okay, it's from the XAML. Okay, it's actually a XML based data format for exchange the authentication data. And then there's also OATH, okay, and OpenID. Okay, those are the similar way to achieve the federated identities. Okay, and federated identity is built upon shared trust. So we assume that all the different domains, identity systems will share trust so that they can allow the same identity be reused across different domain systems. And the risk here, of course, is that if you are compromise one domain's ID, and that domain ID can be reused in the other domains as well, that create a huge risk for the entire system. And for the protocols, there are many different protocol related to authentications. There's some famous one you should always know, and they are very often to be tested, such as Kerberos, Redius, and Takis Plus, and PAP versus CHAP. Those are different protocols that you should know. For Kerberos, and this is one of the symmetric method. Okay, remember that they're using symmetric keys to support the protocols. You will have to get the ticket granting service, and those 3-way handshake process in order to authenticate users. Okay. Redius is another protocol, okay, and it's used for remote user authentications. Okay, remote user authentication. Remember that. Okay. Similar to Redius, there's another one. It's called Diameters, but Diameters is used less, not as widely as Redius, and Diameter is supposed to support more use in the 4G, 5G communications, and they are supposed to be more secure. But the reality is that right now Diameter is not as used as often as a radius. Okay. And simply because many of the switch and the access points typically use radius, not diameters. Okay. The TACACS, this is the terminal access control system. Okay. Kind of difficult to pronounce. And this type of protocol is different from radius in that radius is most likely for users remote access, and the TACACS is for the controllers, administrators to have the control over the system. That's the difference. Also, the TACACS is using the TCP protocol, so it's loaded in the port 49. Okay, then that's different from the radius. Radius is located in a different place. Yeah, different port. And then we also have a PAP versus CHAP. PAP is the password authentication protocol. CHAP is the challenging handshake authentication protocol. PAP is the older one that's very used been for a long time. Okay, it's considered not secure anymore. Okay, the basic reason is because they are using the plain text credential over the network that make it not insecure. The CHAP is using a challenging handshake method to exchange the credentials. So it does not use a plain text password over the network. It's considered as more secure, but it's not 100%. There's still a way for attacker to gain access to the server using the CHAP method. Okay. And the last part of the IAAA model is the accountabilities. So in the accountabilities here, we are talking about you're able to have login tracking for the user's action and also be able to audit that. Okay. And with the log and the auditing together, and you make the users not able to deny what they have already done. Okay, that's what we mean by non-repudiations. Okay, but if you have shared account, it's obviously difficult to find out accountability for the users, right? You have to trace action to the user in order to maintain your accountabilities. Okay, otherwise it's difficult to do that. Okay, so I want to make the domain file a little bit short, but again, there's many content in the domain that is not covered by my slides. I just pick up some of the most important issues, the concept. I think you should prepare for the exam. You should go for looking at the knowledge in domain and read more information than the slides in order to prepare your exams. Okay. All right. So that's about the lectures. Let's look at the discussions. Oh, by the way, do you guys want to take a break? You want to continue going?
I'm up for like a short break if that's okay.
Okay, let's take about 8 minutes break and come back. Hello, class. Are we ready to come back?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Excellent. Let me share my
Ready?
okay. Let me share my screen in a minute. Okay, let's get started. And the game started.
Hmm.
All right, first questions. Shamir, are you here?
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, so which questions?
God, you want me to read any of the questions?
Please, which question you want to?
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. So, all right. So I'll do the second question. So which protocol provides confidentiality, integrity, and authentication for IP packets at the network layer?
Is that IPsec?
TSL.
The first one was correct. IPsec.
IPsec.
Yes. Oh, I think he left. The professor left.
Now we're in charge of the class now. Just kidding.
Once again. I like that avatar.
Oh, thanks. I
That's great.
borrowed this from somebody actually, so it's a different avatar than I usually use.
Interesting. Very unique. I like it.
Hmm.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, my laptop lost the powers.
Oh no. Welcome back though.
I just
Welcome
come back.
back.
Let me share my screen again. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
I can see
We
it.
could see your screen.
Okay. Good. Let me go back to the questions. So who did the correct answer last time?
It was
Uh,
Robert.
Yeah, Robert Rebus. I know we have another Robert, I believe.
Robert Rees. Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the next one. Marcos? Are you still here? Are you muted? Marcos twice? think he presented earlier, probably left. Okay. Prabesh.
Hi, Professor.
Yes, go ahead. Which
What type of
question?
attack? Oh, yeah. What type of attack occurs when individuals register a domain name of a well-known company before the company has a chance to do so? Is the answer A, Domain Name System Securities Extension, DNSSEC, B, domain grabbing, C, cyber squatting, or D, distributed denial of service, DDoS?
B.
C.
Cyber squatting. Microsoft. Good example.
Did any of you guys say B?
I did.
Who's that?
That's Ray.
Oh, Ray. Yeah, actually, Ray, you are correct.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah. So the difference between cyber squatting and domain grabbing. So cyber squatting is the practice of, hang on, cyber squatting is the practice of registering, trafficking in, or using an internet domain name with a bad faith intention to profit from the goodwill of a trademark. But basically, yeah, taking somebody else's domain name before they have a chance to buy it and use that for malicious purposes. For example, if Google's domain name for a split second happened to go for sale, then buy it from whatever website that would allow you to domain registrar, buy it from a domain registrar and hold it hostage basically.
Okay, so it's that correct answer is B.
Yeah, correct answer is B.
Okay. Good questions. Thank you. Marina?
Which network design approach ensures that sensitive systems are protected by requiring users to pass through multiple security checkpoints before gaining access? A, single point of failure, B, defense in depth architecture, C, flat network design, or D, broadcast domain design?
It's B.
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 Defense intent architecture.
Yeah, B is correct.
Okay, who is the first one?
I think it was
I said it
Jose.
first.
Yeah.
What's
Jose
the name?
Martinez. Jose Martinez.
What's the name? How do you spell?
It's a Jose.
Jose.
Martinez.
Oh, Martinez.
Mhm.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Martinez. Okay, thank you. Jose. Vega?
Yeah, I'm here. What are the sublayers of layer 6 presentation layer in the open system interconnection model? A is correct.
This is an analogy that unique. Who is the answer for that? King, okay. Robert? Robert, are you here? Okay. Joshua?
Yep. We're going with the second one. All right. An organization has discovered that an attacker gained access to the server by intercepting administrative credentials sent over the network in context. Upon investigations, found that The admin was using a legacy remote control protocol, which for the following should be disabled to prevent the specific vulnerability, and what should be it replaced with?
A.
A.
B.
A. Port 23 is Telnet, and Telnet is kind of old hat. Everyone should be using SSH, if anything, if they need to remote into a system. Otherwise, disable SSH.
Good question.
Okay.
So who did answer correctly?
Ashwin, ASHWEEN.
Okay, great. Robert?
Yes, I could do number 2. So an organization is looking to implement 802.1x for user authentication in conjunction with Radius. What protocol would be the most secure? Sorry, I forgot the word most.
Would it be B?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Marina, right?
Adara.
Adara. Okay, sorry, cannot see the Adara. Okay. Matthew.
I'll do the first question. What would be the most common / likely placement of the IPS hardware in the network? A, out of band, B, out of band connected to span, C, inline, D, endpoint.
C inline.
C inline.
Yeah, C, inline. And that's because the IPS is expected to block packets, so you want it to be in the flow of packets into the network.
Okay. So who answered that?
It was me, Shamir.
Yeah, Shamir and I answered at the same time.
We did.
So
It was very close. SHAHMIR.
air.
Oh.
MIR.
You got it.
Okay, Shamir. Great. Sabon.
Yes, I'll go with the second questions. An organization wants to prevent unauthorized devices from connecting to network, switch ports, and a corporate office. Which control is most effective? A, implementing port security on switches. B, deploying a perimeter firewall. C, using NAT at the edge router. D, installing antivirus software on endpoints.
A.
Yes, that is the right answer.
May I get the points for this one for Josh?
Okay, Josh. Okay, I heard two sound.
Yeah,
Go for
I
it,
said it
Josh.
also.
Go for it.
Who is the other one?
Jose.
Yeah, I said
Jose
it.
Vega.
Okay. Ashwin.
Yeah, so I can do the second one. A company needs to securely transmit web application traffic between clients and a public-facing server over the internet. Which protocol is most appropriate? A, an IPsec tunnel mode, B, TLS, C, SSH, or D, SNMP version 3.
A, but I'd prefer using Wireshark instead. Tailscale instead, or a different protocol than IPS Telnsec.
Anybody else have a different answer?
So TSL.
Yeah, the correct answer is B. The TLS is the standard protocol that's used to protect web application traffic. So I mean, overall, it provides authentication, confidentiality, and integrity for both, for communication between a client browser and a web server.
So what is the other use for?
So I mean, like, for this particular question, since it specifically mentions web application traffic in between a client and server, out of all these options, TLS is the most appropriate choice.
Yes, but in general, what is the other use for, like SSH and IPS, IPsec.
Oh, so the IPsec telemode is like kind of primarily used for like site-to-site VPNs, or for like secure network layer tunnels between I believe gateways and hosts, and then SSH is used for secure remote administration, command line access, and sometimes for like secure file transfer.
Mhm.
Then the SNMP is used for more like secure network management and monitoring, such as if you wanted to monitor routers, switches, or other devices.
Okay, good.
So that web traffic bit tripped me up instead of okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so who did the correct answer?
I did, Jose Martinez.
Oh, great. Get 200 now. Ray?
Yeah, I'll do number 2. All right, an administrator is reviewing port usage on a server. A client connects to the web service on TCP port 443 from source port 53144. What does port 53144 most likely represent? A well-known destination port assigned by IANA, or B, a dynamic source port chosen temporarily by the client, C, a port reserved only for encrypted DNS traffic, or D, a physical interface identifier on the client system.
I would say B.
Correct answer is B. Oh.
It is B, a dynamic source port, also known as a ephemeral port, which is over, I believe, over 5,000 ports, 5,000 or up, or 1,000 or up.
Mhm.
So
Good.
B is correct.
Who got the credit?
I said B
I said B.
as well.
Who is the first?
It was Jose.
I'd like to say I say B too, but I was muted.
That's not a count. Okay, so what's the name?
Martinez.
You're again. You got most credit now. Wesley.
Question 1. Which of the following best describes the primary purpose of network segmentation in security architecture?
B.
Is it C, like you're separating departments, simplifying network management?
Or would it be A?
B.
We'll say B.
I said B as well.
What's the correct answer, Wesley?
It's B.
Okay. So who did the first one?
I did. I said B on that one, Professor.
Cannot see your name.
Zach Martin. Zachary Martin.
Zach? All right. Antonio.
Well, go for question 1. Which of the following can translate a private IP address to a public address that is routable on the internet?
NAT, one.
NAT.
Okay. That is correct.
Yeah, that's a simple answers. What did that?
I might have said it first.
Josh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You say that, it's been a headache for me actually these past couple of days, so.
Adora.
Hi, I'll go with question 1. A firewall rule permits inbound TCP traffic on port 443, but denies all other inbound connections. What principle is being applied?
B. Implicit
B?
deny.
B is correct, implicit deny.
Okay. Who should have got credit?
I said it first. Jose Martinez.
You again? You are the star tonight.
Professor, I had a quick question. How does the point system exactly work? Because I always try to give people the other opportunity to get points, but Like, how does this all equate at the very end?
Will be added together, get the total points.
But is it out of like a specific amount, or is it based on like the average, or how does that work?
I haven't fully decided yet. There's two ways I can see. One is to add the points directly together, get the total points. A second one is to get a rank. I can rank 1, 2, and 3, and so on. So based on rank, I can assign a points. But probably it's easier for me to just using the total points together.
So then should we try to be the first one every single time to answer the question?
Yes.
Yeah, we gotta be mean to
Let me-
everybody else in the class.
What about those that don't get a chance to answer?
Well,
Do we just not get credit for the discussion? I mean, I am listening and trying to participate, but everyone's kind of jumping the gun.
So one way for
trying to keep it
you
fair.
to get credit is to read the question before the class. So find answers before you come to the class. That help you to prepare.
But I think I kind of agree with him where, I think a lot of cases we are able to answer, but it's also about like giving other people the opportunity to answer. So we're not being inconsiderate and just jumping at every single chance that we get. At least that's my perspective. So I just wanted to understand.
So we can set a rule that the maximum number of one person can answer will be 3 or 5, depends on what you like. How about
So
that?
maybe we just try to do like a baseline. Everyone gets like, a chance to answer and like 300, and we just try to distribute it among ourselves. Can we do that?
Yeah, we can do that. I think probably simple way just to set the maximum a person can answer is 5 times. So the maximum points is 500. And no matter whether you are correct or wrong, if you're wrong, then doesn't count. But you're still using your chances. Does that work for you?
I like the maximum number of correct or points to like 300 points only, and then they can no longer ask.
Yeah, I was thinking 300 as well.
Okay, I can go down. Not 5, 3 is the maximum. Does that work?
That sounds like fair for everyone, Professor.
Okay. So Jose, you are already maximum this time.
No worries, thank you.
I would just so you're out. Xuan, let's move on. Are you here? Okay. Malik. Is Malik here? Malik. And Winnie? Is Winnie here?
Oh yeah, sorry, I was muted.
Okay.
I'll do the second question. In which kind of attack does the attacker submit a lot of connection requests extremely quickly, but then ignore the reply that is delivered back to them by the server?
Is that a sin flood? Hey.
Yes, that's correct.
That's good. So who got credit?
That was me. Line 3.
Robert. Okay. Great. 10.
B.
Okay, great. So we had 2 people to answer. Which one answer first?
Line 7.
Okay. Good. Adam. Is Adam here? Let's move on to the next one. Giancarlo?
I'm here. I'll go ahead and go with question 2. An IT technician is configuring a new wireless access point for a small office to provide the strongest level of encryption currently available for a WPA-based connection. What protocol should they use?
C.
WC.
C.
Correct answer is C.
C is the most secure one. Yeah. Who is the
11?
first? 11?
Yeah.
Those of you guys with 100 points go ahead before me.
You are so gentleman. Stanley. Stanley is not here. Zach?
Which term matches this definition? Having multiple layers of defense so that if one fails, protections are still in place.
Hey,
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, that's correct. So who is that?
it's Ray. 5-4.
Shrey. Oh, yeah. Niha.
I go with the first question. Which protocol is used to convert an IP address to MAC address?
B.
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 Okay.
Correct.
This is simple. So who did answer the question?
11.
11.
Yeah, I got it too. Line 3.
Yeah, Robert and I answered same time.
Who is the first then?
I was, but I don't care. Robert can have it.
I marked Jose already, so give Jose this time. Yeah. Here. Okay. Mustafa.
Yeah, I'll do the first one. Which application layer protocol is used for the exchange of user information on the World Wide Web and supports websites?
C. Okay.
Yeah,
C.
let's see. Yeah.
Should be C, right?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. I saw someone said D.
I think I said C, but it could be my microphone.
Oh. George, right? Are you here? Okay, good. Jose.
I'll do question 1. What is the purpose of DHCP service that can be used to automate basically the process of assigning an IP configuration to devices in a network?
That's C.
That's
So which one is correct?
Yeah, it's actually B.
B.
Oh, actually C. My bad.
Okay.
C. Sorry.
Yeah, the thing A is a little bit confusing to A, to B to C. That's why some people hesitate to answer that. So who did answer correctly?
I did that one. Line 3.
And 3. Okay. Robert. Great. Justin?
Question 1, which protocol is primarily used for error reporting and diagnostic functions in IP networks?
CICMP.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
Who has less points?
Can I get some points?
I
Give
mean,
it to him.
I would love some points. We're almost done
Anthony.
with the discussion.
Who is one? Anthony?
Yeah, this is my first point.
Give it to him.
It's Anthony and Giancarlo.
Anthony. Okay. Yeah. Next question. I'll answer your question.
We'll do question 2. Which OSI layer is responsible for routing packets across the network?
C.
Oh, that's easier. Yeah.
It's C. Super easy
C.
one.
Line
Ooh.
7.
7. Oh, Ashwin. Audrey.
I go with question 2. How many bits are contained in an IPv4 address?
32. C.
Yes, C, 32.
Who did answer?
That was me, Professor.
Your name?
AYYAN.
Oh, I thought you left.
Oh no, my phone died. My bad.
Because one of the question is yours earlier. You did not ask.
Oh, I can do it now. I have it posted.
Okay. So which question you did? This one.
Yep.
Adi.
Which protocol is used to securely resolve domain names into IP addresses by adding authentication and integrity to DNS processes? Yeah, I was catching up on other discussions.
You had the answer here already. So don't do that. Don't do that before our discussion, okay?
Understood.
So after this, we're gonna have to put all our answers on. Okay.
So this one, no one get a credit.
Except for him for asking the question.
No, yeah. Yeah, he helped him to remove from the absence. Okay. Okay, so that's all the question we have for tonight. Let me save that.
Professor, can I like at least answer like somebody that's been absent? Because it doesn't seem fair, like I'm at the mercy of, if everyone's absent, I'm not going to be able to get a chance to answer a question.
Okay, let's pick one question for you. His question is gone. He's not here. Which one? I think the first question is fine. Which security risk does the instant messenger face in terms of confidentialities?
D, social engineering attacks. D.
Yeah, this looks like right. So you are Aya?
John Carlo.
Okay.
Go for it, Chen. I don't care anymore, dude. It's fine.
Yeah, John, Chen, you are 200. You need to give John another chance.
It's spelled JEANCARLO. Sorry. ANCARLO. Yeah, thank you.
Why wouldn't B be correct?
Packet sniffing. Packet sniffing.
I'm assuming like the attacker would capture the network traffic and kind of read the content of the messages.
Packet sniffing is also related to confidentiality. That you are correct. But it's I think when they asking about instant messaging, it's specifically for
And like if the instant messaging is not like properly encrypted, like an attacker that's on the same network could essentially intercept these conversations.
Isn't most instant messaging services just encrypted anyways? So getting anything in the middle of the flight or packet sniffing might not give you anything usable right away. No?
It could be, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, packet sniffing is more general. It's not specific to instant messaging. Basic for any network communication, you can sniff the packet that will threats to confidentialities.
So the correct answer is D?
D, yeah, looks D is correct.
Okay.
Okay. So who else does not have a chance to answer any questions? we have several questions for you.
But we have about 1 minute left in class.
Yeah. Do we have anyone has not answered any questions yet?
Antonio Delalia. My name is not. I didn't say anything, and I'm here.
Okay. We can pick one for you. I think that's what's the question say here? Malik.
I'm good. I don't mind. You can just put me down for a 0. I'm just present. That's all.
Okay. I give you one question. This one is very simple. Which protocol is connectionless? Oh, sorry for that. And does not guarantee delivery. This is a very simple one. Do you know the answer?
I saw the answer. UDP.
Okay, great. What's your name?
Antonio.
Antonio. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, that's concluded tonight's class. Thank you all for coming. I will see you after spring break.
Yep. Have a good spring break, guys. See
night.
ya.
Bye, everyone.
Enjoy it, everybody.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Have a good spring break.
Have a
Okay, let's go. Okay, let's go.
It's not B. I already took it from Venezuela, but that's not the point. So it's probably A or C. I'm not sure.
You can take a joker.
Let's call Bibi. Very smart guy. Bibi knows this.
All right, let's call Bibi.
Iran or C, work for peace.
Strike Iran.
Are you sure, Bibi?
100%.
Final answer, A, strike Iran. Okay, let's go.
You're joking. What are you doing up there? Hello? Blue. 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 Are you eating all the treats? I literally left for 2 minutes. Or are you just sitting in there because it's cold? What are you doing? Oh. Are you gonna come inside? Bye. Are you kidding me again? Really? Again? You're joking. What are you doing up there? Hello? Blue. 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 Are you eating all the treats? I literally left for 2 minutes. Or are you just sitting in there because it's cold? What are you doing? Oh. You're joking. What are you doing up there? Hello? Blue. 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 Are you eating all the treats? I literally left for 2 minutes. Or are you just sitting in there because it's cold? What are you doing? Oh. Are you gonna come inside? Bye. Are you kidding me again? Really? Again? You've got to be joking. The entire internet seems to think that I have the worst trained dog, worst behaved dog in the world, so let's go for a training session. I am working with no tools here, no prong collar, no e-collar, just a slip lead, and I'm gonna bring his favorite bowl as a distraction. You ready? Drop it. Down. Stay. I could walk wherever I want. Across the street, to a different neighborhood. He's not going anywhere. Favorite bowl? Leave it. With me. Ah! Mistakes will happen, but he corrects himself. Orbit. 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 Mistakes will happen, but he corrects. Mistakes will happen, but he corrects himself. Mistakes will happen, but he corrects himself. With me. Ah! Mistakes will happen, but he corrects himself. Mistakes will happen, but he corrects himself. Mistakes will happen, but he corrects himself. Orbit. Orbit. Heel. Mistakes will happen, but ah! Mistakes will happen, but he corrects himself. Orbit. Mistakes. With me. Ah! Mistakes will happen, but he corrects himself. Orbit. He corrects himself. Orbit. But he corrects. Mistakes will happen, but mistakes will happen, but he corrects himself. Orbit. Orbit. With me. Ah! Mistakes will happen, but he corrects himself. Orbit. Orbit. Heel. Bravo. Bravo.